Hey, what's up guys, Jolts here, back with another video, and we just got some big information today. Gearbox and 2K announced endgame information for Wonderlands. That's right, the game isn't even out yet, and they're giving us some major information here. Now, if you are against spoilers, go ahead and click off the video now. I'll give you a few seconds to do so. Alright, that should be long enough. So anyways, jumping into it, they just announced Chaos Chamber. In a nutshell, the Chaos Chamber is a randomizing dungeon endgame piece of content. So think about it as a Digistruct Peak from Borderlands 2, except the terrain randomizes, and it's a lot more fair. Alright, so we're going to jump right into the developer diary here, so I'm going to sound like a robot as I read this. It says here, at the most basic, a normal Chaos Chamber run is a randomized challenge that should take around 20 to 30 minutes to complete. Your path through the dungeon goes like this. 3 randomized dungeon rooms where you clear out a number of enemies before you can proceed, then a mini-boss fight, followed by 3 more dungeon rooms, and finally a full-on main boss fight at the grand finale. Each time you complete a room that isn't immediately before a boss fight, you'll open 2 portals that give you a degree of choice over what you'll encounter in the next room. You have 3 lives to make it to the end of the dungeon, lose them all and your run is a failure. But don't fret, you still get to keep your weapons and gear you picked up during the run. Alright, so already right there we're getting some very fair conditions. So you get your 3 lives, if you die the run is over, and you keep everything you got along the way. Now one question people might have is, how does it work for co-op? Well, the developers were nice enough to share this information early, and the way it works is you only get 3 lives total. So let's say you team up with 2 other people, so 3 total. That means if all 3 of you guys die, the run is over. Anyways, back to the dev diary. We have over 60 level layouts which mix and match throughout the dungeon run. On top of that, all of the many types of enemies from the game can show up, with up to 3 different kinds of armies in one room. There are also explosive barrels and traps that populate based on the room. Some are smaller, some are bigger. Our level designers went with what felt appropriate for each particular combat area. Alright, 60 level layouts plus 3 different populations of enemies in one room. There's going to be so many randomized combinations that you're probably never going to get the same run ever again. So each of the Chaos Chamber runs will be different. What else we got here? Completing Chaos Chamber runs is a great way to farm loot once you've finished the main story campaign, but it's even more important for those who are looking to min-max your gear and assemble all the pieces for your perfect character build. By successfully beating a Chaos Chamber, you'll earn Moon Orbs, which are an in-game currency you can spend at the Enchantment Reroller station in Brighthoof. So right there confirmed, we're getting an Enchantment Reroller, which is basically the annoyance of this game. But in case you missed the previous videos, I did mention that the enchantments will be a lower percentage. So you're not going to see like bonus 200% damage, 300% damage on the enchantments. Instead, the bonuses will be smaller, but the bonus will still be there. Now there is going to be a catch, so moving back to the notes, every time you use the enchantment reroller, you'll be offered a random replacement for the enchantment effect on your gear, or the option to keep the one you've got. By rerolling the enchantments on your favorite pieces of gear, you can push their power even further by finding the enchantment that best synergizes with your loadout. Here it is right here. So rerolling won't take many Moon Orbs when you first start out, but it will be exponentially more expensive the more you reroll the same item. Yeah, so Moon Orbs are going to be a very important thing you want to farm up in your game, and you're going to need a lot of it if you're going to roll for a specific enchantment. So how do I feel about this? I'm going to be honest, it does sound like a pretty cool idea on paper, but I do fear it's going to cause a type of loop on a lot of people. What I mean by that is if you're unlucky and don't roll the enchantment you want after a lot of rerolls, then it will get so expensive that the player will probably choose to farm another version of that legendary again, and then proceed to reroll it for cheap. Again, I think it's a cool idea, but I'm just putting that thought out there. Anyways, back to the diary, we were talking about the Moon Orbs. While Moon Orbs are an endgame currency that you get after Chaos Chamber runs, crystals are what's more important during your run. You can pick up crystals in a variety of ways during your run, but the most satisfying method is also the most consistent, which is smashing a crystalline rainbow glowing die that spawns once you've completed a room, and open up the portal to the next. Yeah, so if you've seen the previous trailers, you might have seen that rainbow effervescent loot beams. Those are your crystals, and that's what you're collecting for the run. Now, what exactly are they for? Well, let's move on here. You can amass bonus crystals by completing optional side objectives that are randomly assigned to each room, with a wide variety of possibilities. Maybe you'll protect a statue of Queen Butt Stallion before it gets defaced by baddies, smash up a statue of the villainous Dragon Lord, or keep a sentient fire orb burning by feeding the souls of slain enemies. You will always have 0 crystals at the start of a dungeon run, and they don't carry over between runs, so use them or lose them. Over the course of a Chaos Chamber run, you might stumble upon some altars that offer unique buffs called blessings. If you cough up enough crystals and activate the altar, you will receive a blessing that applies for the remainder of the run, with subsequent altars costing more to activate as a consequence. Blessings are stackable and can be as straightforward as increasing critical hit damage or ammo capacity, though others may completely change up your playstyle for the rest of the run. Now there is a quote here from Kent. "My favorite blessing to use is a melee attack speed and movement speed buff. You can just start running around and mashing the melee button and swing your way through enemies." Alright, let's pause for a second here. So we know that crystals are going to be something you earn during your Chaos Chamber run, and you can earn bonus crystals by doing optional objectives, so I'm assuming the mission's going to have like an optional thing you can do, and if you do that you will get a bonus. And you also get buffs, which is pretty cool. So much more to read. So moving on, blessings to your passive skills can also be imbued by Queen Butt Stallion herself, if you choose one of her portals at the end of an encounter. The 2 portals that spawn in once you've beaten a room come in 4 different varieties: a crystal die that rewards you with more crystals, Queen Butt Stallion's favor via a helpful blessing, a gear die which awards you new loot once you've beaten the encounter, and an added layer of challenge in the form of a new curse. The last one is perfect for those who like to live dangerously. Alright, so we're jumping right into the curses here. Keep in mind this is something you can optionally choose. You don't have to take curses if you don't want to. You can take a blessing, you can take those bonus crystals, whatever you want. Curses are the polar opposite of blessings. Debuffs for you or boons for the enemies that will last the rest of the Chaos Chamber run, and will make it much harder for you to survive. You will have at least an inkling of a kind of challenge they will bring, as curses offered are marked as easy, medium, or hard. By taking a curse, you will be rewarded extra crystals in exchange for an amped up difficulty, and some of the easy curses might even benefit your build and you can take advantage of them. Alright, so Kent has something to say here. In my opinion, the hardest curse is Break It Up, which gives your enemies increased damage via higher fire rate and accuracy when near other enemies. Depending on the arena, it can be pretty hard to have enemies clump together. Okay, so it sounds like Kent is describing one of the modifiers you can get for curses, and obviously there's going to be a lot more, but we don't know any at this time. I lost my spot here. Here we go. If you're a glutton for punishment, you can even spend some of your hard-earned crystals before you enter a portal to make your next encounter elite, which makes enemies in the next room much more difficult. In return, the loot they drop will be improved should you actually manage to make it through alive. Yeah, so I separated this one from the curses because we don't know if this elite modifier is going to be part of a curse. It could just be another layer of challenge you can add, or it might actually be a curse. Okay, on to the final bit here. This is covering what's going to be at the end of the run. After you fought tooth and nail through multiple Chaos Chamber rooms, taken on blessings and curses at your discretion, and put a smackdown on the final boss, you deserve some worthy rewards. A wealth of treasure awaits you in the Loot of Chaos area you're transported to after defeating the final boss, with a chest full of desirable loot for the taking. But for dedicated loot grinders, the real Chaos Chamber payout might be hiding in the bellies of the spined, slightly disturbing rabbit statues that line the room. Above the gaping, pointy-toothed mouth of each rabbit statue is an icon representing a type of loot in the Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Guns like SMGs and assault rifles, wearable gear like rings and amulets, and so on. By feeding a statue some crystals you've accumulated over your run, you can make it barf up a random piece of loot from its respective loot type. Just ignore the bits of rainbow-colored bile. Through this method, you have the means to chase after the best items for certain gear slots, while enjoying the random madness inherent to the Chaos Chamber. Kent says here, now you can target which loot type you want without farming a same boss for over 20 hours. It's still somewhat random, but the player has some control over the kinds of loot they want to prioritize. Alright, so it sounds like Kent is saying you can choose kind of the item type you want at the end of the run. So just like the background footage, you can choose rocket launchers to get rocket launchers, and whatever else you want to get. Now in the footage, we are seeing purples come out, so I don't know if you can actually roll legendaries or not, but maybe if you have enough crystals, you can roll like a higher tier and get legendaries. If not, maybe they'll come out of the chest at the end of the room. Either way, I'm assuming these rewards will be good. Maybe Kent was playing on a lower difficulty, so maybe on a higher difficulty you get guaranteed legendaries. We'll have to wait and see on that. Okay, moving on to the final bit of the developer diary. Besides all the loot spewing rabbit statues, something else you can enjoy after a successful completion of the Chaos Chamber is a victory screen, jam-packed with information and recaps of your run. Here, you can get an overall look at the offense and defensive stats, such as per weapon kills, ward damage taken, etc., blessings and curses you took on, total crystals collected, and more. It also includes a quick overview of your entire character build, including your 2 multi-class selections, skill point and hero point distribution, and even the rarity of all the gear you brought into battle. Perfect for the all-in-one screenshot to share with your pals and even on your socials. If you're wondering whose Fatemaker build truly reigns supreme, you can see where you stand thanks to the featured runs in the Chaos Chamber. Each featured run will be available for a week for all players, and that particular run is seeded, so it will always be the same. You can rerun it, and all of these same elements will spawn in the same place, and side objectives will all be the same. On the victory screen for featured runs, we will have little icons letting you know if you ranked highly for certain parameters, how quickly you completed the run, how difficult it was based on the curses that you picked up, and how many crystals you collected. It makes for a nice community feature where you see, oh, I managed to be in the top 100 fastest completions of that featured run. It's a great way to compare builds among friends, and compete to see who gets the fastest and most difficult finish on a run. And then at the bottom here, they mentioned there's going to be something called Chaos Trials, but we'll learn more about that at a future date. Alright, that is a lot to unpack. So, competition, it's going to be a thing. Personally, I think it's a pretty cool idea and will connect the community together, and it will push all the build makers and speedrunners of the community too. You guys know me, I love my speedruns, and I will probably take part in this. But of course, I do have to put it out there just because I want to get it off my mind. I'm really hoping there's a way to detect cheating. As you know, anybody can spawn in a modded gun and one-shot all the content, and I'm really hoping there's ways to keep them off the leaderboard. I really don't know or see how they could actually detect that. So maybe Gearbox and 2K would have to manually look at the leaderboards and determine if the run is cheated or not. Obviously, that would be a huge pain to keep track of 24/7, so we'll have to see what they do about that. Alright, summarizing all the stuff we just learned today, I am actually looking forward to this. Not only does it sound like good endgame content, but it's going to be randomized and repeatable, and that's very important for endgame content. Now, it wasn't mentioned in the notes, and I'm not even 100% sure if I'm allowed to talk about it, but I'm going to be a rebel and just throw it out there because it's not like anything major. And that is that even the bosses in the Chaos Chamber are randomized too. Yeah, you're not going to fight these same bosses over and over, and if I recall, there is going to be 3 of them total. So the many enemy-filled rooms are going to be heavily randomized, and for each of the bosses, you randomize from 3. Like I said, you will probably never roll the same Chaos Chamber run twice. That is if you're not running the featured run to, race against your buddies. So yeah, this has a lot to offer. Again, my only concerns are, having cheaters on the leaderboard, also the enchantment rerolling, and I'm wondering how the end of the Chaos Chamber run loot will be handled. I'm almost positive they're going to pay out with a legendary because, you're doing a 20-30 minute run, but if not, I'm sure the issues will get ironed out pretty early on. Anyways, it's been a very long video, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. So let me know below in the comments what you guys think about the Chaos Chamber. For me, sounds good, something new, I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, let me know below what you guys think about this cool stuff. I think it will change up how we experience endgame like never before, and it sounds like the Borderlands series is finally getting what it needs for endgame content. Thank you. Anyways, I'll shut up now, so if you guys did enjoy the video, then please be sure to leave a like because that'd be awesome. And if you really enjoyed it and want to hear a lot more about Wonderlands, then why not drop a sub too? I mean, it's free. You guys have a great day, and I will see you all later. Peace out.